You're not welcome here. How city design excludes people experiencing homelessness. One winter break, my family and I visited New York City, and my one request was a visit to the Strand bookstore in Greenwich Village. I was so excited as we approached the entrance on Broadway that I barely noticed the sprinkler system tucked beneath the store's signature red awning. Only later did I learn that, around 10 p.m. each night, those sprinklers would switch on to spray anyone sleeping or resting nearby. The few belongings people carry would be soaked, and the individuals themselves would be left freezing and with no place to rest. While the average American views their city as a place of opportunities and choice, that city looks entirely different for an individual experiencing homelessness. For the unhoused, a city is an unwelcoming and hostile landscape that is relentlessly restrictive and filled with a multitude of barriers and challenges. Hostile architecture, limited public amenities, and other aspects of city design actively exclude, constrain, disrespect, and ultimately harm people experiencing homelessness. Hostile architecture sends people experiencing homelessness a clear message: they are unwelcome. This message is communicated by design features that physically exclude them from shared public spaces and impede their ability to meet their basic human needs. Referred to under different names, exclusionary designs, anti-homeless architecture, and unpleasant designs, hostile architecture was implemented to discourage antisocial behavior in public spaces and prompt those experiencing homelessness to get off the streets. Examples of these so-called antisocial behaviors include sleeping, loitering, skateboarding, littering, and urinating. The architectural features intended to prevent such actions include slanted or segmented benches, doorway or windowsill spikes, barred corners, boulders placed under bridges, unpleasant loud music, and more. Advocates for hostile architecture claim that these designs improve cities. The company Factory Furniture, which designed the Camden Bench, a notorious form of hostile architecture, argues that its designs and hostile architecture in general promote desirable social behavior. However, these designs harm everyone, regardless of socioeconomic status. As researcher Cara Shalhoub from York University in Toronto explains, the elements that make spaces hostile for targeted populations also make them hostile for the general public. Hostile architecture routinely inconveniences seniors, pregnant women, and disabled people because of its edgy and innovative design elements. When elements of hostile architecture such as boulders or fences block off certain spaces, those spaces become unusable for everyone. While all members of society suffer to some degree from features of hostile architecture, knowingly or unknowingly, the burdens hostile architecture places on those experiencing homelessness are uniquely heavy. These designs interfere with the ability of those experiencing homelessness to meet their basic human needs. Routines necessary for survival, including sleeping and finding a place to rest safely or stay warm, are rendered nearly impossible by hostile architecture. Place yourself in their shoes. Imagine you are exhausted and have no place of your own. You need to rest your body, yet everywhere you look, hostile architecture prevents you from meeting this fundamental need. Segmented or slanted benches, spikes on the ground, and numerous other features communicate you cannot do that here, pushing you out of the space entirely. By preventing people experiencing homelessness from carrying out routines essential to survival, hostile architecture further removes them from the public eye, effectively hiding the portion of the population experiencing homelessness. The combination of hostile architecture and a lack of resources to support oneself makes life for people experiencing homelessness extremely difficult. As mentioned earlier, one of the intentions behind hostile architecture is to remove homeless individuals from the streets. This leaves them with few alternatives. One option is going to a shelter. However, in cities with large homeless populations, shelters often lack adequate space and resources. According to the Annual Homeless Assessment Report 2024, 35.5% of homeless experiences reported being unsheltered. If one does manage to find a shelter with space, many shelters only allow people to spend nighttime hours inside. Come daytime, they are required to leave. Additionally, shelters can often be unsafe, particularly for women and other vulnerable populations, causing some to accept the risks of living on the street. When a person is not in a shelter and simultaneously excluded from shared public spaces by hostile architecture, they are left socially, physically, and psychologically isolated. These designs of cities amplify the politics of they described by scholar Dorothy Allison. This concept refers to the way societies distance themselves from or dehumanize the people they consider others. For Allison, the label of they was imposed on her because of her sexuality and socioeconomic status. In her memoir, A Question of Class, Allison demonstrates how being placed in society's they group can profoundly change how a person views themselves, evoking shame and self-awareness to a painful degree and stripping them of their dignity. When cities employ hostile architecture, they magnify the divide between a normal citizen and the they population, comprised of those experiencing homelessness. Overall, they communicate that these individuals are separate from the rest of society. With nowhere else to go, those experiencing homelessness often retreat to dangerous corners of cities, locations not occupied by society for a reason, such as construction zones, vacant lots, and street grates. The message that those experiencing homelessness are not welcome is not only communicated by the architecture that is physically present. In fact, what is absent can be an equally powerful voice for communicating exclusion. The absence or restriction of essential public amenities in cities harms people experiencing homelessness and prevents them from living lives of dignity. The average person uses the bathroom around 8 times a day. Without consciously thinking about it, most housed individuals maintain a mental map of bathrooms available along their common routes, a coffee shop where they can buy a latte and use the restroom while they wait, or a bathroom at their workplace. When an individual is unhoused, these plans require greater effort. Cities are not designed with unhoused people in mind. Many businesses grant only customers bathroom access, and even public bathrooms often have restricted hours. According to the Public Toilet Index of 2021, the United States has 8 public toilets per 100,000 people. This is a statistic that people with housing and/or adequate finances rarely consider, as they can nearly always find a facility that is available to them. In some cities, the number is even lower. For example, Philadelphia has just 4 public toilets per 100,000 people. With so few options, those experiencing homelessness are forced to extensively plan their daily routine in order to meet this basic need. In many cases, this means walking over a mile to reach a bathroom that is both open and accessible without purchase. It is not only toilets. Those experiencing homelessness also have trouble finding and getting access to showers, power sources, clean water, and much more. These design failures in public hygiene infrastructure are social determinants of health that influence an individual's levels of stress, cleanliness, and fundamental well-being. By not addressing these problems, health inequality gaps widen. This problem is another example of our city designs proving impractical for everyone. The lack of public restrooms affects a range of people: older adults, children, pregnant women, and workers like Uber and Lyft drivers who lack dedicated office spaces. This issue receives minimal attention because those with the means to adjust, paying for products, workplace facilities, etc., can navigate around this challenge. Our cities have not always been this way. In the 1970s, pay toilets were extremely popular, but public criticism arguing that requiring an individual to pay to use the bathroom violated a basic human right led to their removal. By 1980, nearly all pay toilets had been removed. However, their removal was not followed by an installation of free toilets. It is worth noting how rapidly change occurred when those with economic means pointed out a violation of a basic human need. While this violation is nothing new to those experiencing homelessness, the consequences they face because of it are devastating. To understand the gravity of this violation, Martha Nussbaum provides a useful framework. Nussbaum's list of central capabilities sets forth 10 basic capabilities that every member of society requires in order to live a life of dignity. Even if one capability is impaired, their dignity has been compromised. When public health amenities are inaccessible or lacking, a homeless individual's capabilities of bodily health, bodily integrity, and control over one's environment are undermined. Additionally, their capability of affiliation, being able to live with others and be treated as an equal, is impaired. By not having many options, this portion of the population is forced into a lifestyle completely different from that of the rest of society, one stripped of dignity. This message of unwelcomeness and exclusion communicated by our cities must be corrected. Far too often, we choose to turn away from those experiencing homelessness rather than reach out and learn what we can do to help. A philosophy we should all carry is Martin Luther King Jr.'s world house metaphor. Despite the many differences between all of us, race, culture, religion, etc., we all live in the same world house. Therefore, we all carry a shared moral responsibility to help each other. When we ignore another's suffering, injustice occurs. Transforming these messages of exclusion in our cities into ones of inclusion requires intentional change. Most importantly, we must stop implementing and start removing hostile architecture in our cities. Not only are these designs morally wrong, but they are a waste of money that could be spent reducing homelessness. Though simple, the installation and upkeep of hostile architecture have large price tags. The combined costs of various hostile designs in an average city adds up to be in the millions of dollars. The resources spent on designing, installing, and maintaining hostile architecture should be spent combating the root causes of homelessness and providing essential amenities to this portion of the population. Fortunately, there is no shortage of solutions to choose from. Public bathrooms can be installed throughout cities, equipped with showers and hygiene products. Money can go towards expanding shelters and making them safer. A more innovative idea is repurposing decommissioned buses into service hubs. These buses could offer Wi-Fi, laptops, charging stations, and support staff, while also providing P.O. boxes so that those experiencing homelessness have a mailing address. Here, those experiencing homelessness could gain access to education, mental health support, case management, and more. Efforts like these focus on helping an individual get back into society and achieve long-term stability. A common counter-argument to investing in public amenities or efforts such as these is the risk of misuse or vandalism. But this is a risk society must accept, as the possible benefits such as dignity, safety, improved health, and the possible exit out of homelessness far outweigh any possible damage. Another promising solution is the homeless assistance approach, Housing First. Unlike traditional programs that require sobriety testing, employment, and more, Housing First addresses arguably the most pressing aspect of homelessness, housing. This approach views housing as a launchpad back into society and a stepping stone for resolving other challenges present in a homeless individual's life. The program also offers flexible, individualized services that help with housing stability and overall well-being. The designs of our cities reflect our values as a society. When the designs of our cities are impractical to everyone, and work to exclude a portion of the population, change needs to occur. Moving forward, we should consider philosopher John Rawls and his difference principle. According to Rawls, inequalities in society, socioeconomic status, etc., are only fair and just if they benefit the members of society that are the worst off. Within this framework, hostile architecture must be considered unfair and unjust, as it makes the portion of society that is the worst off ever more worse off by harming and excluding them. Additionally, any benefits that hostile architecture designers claim exist, such as cleaner streets or a more pleasant walk to work, are only realized by the part of society that is already well off. This means we should design our cities so that they facilitate making those that are the worst off as well off as possible. Public spaces must function as places where the unhoused can live, learn, and recover.